What's up, guys, and welcome to a special London edition of GameScript. We got the Rams versus the Jaguars, and Puka Nacua is out. How is that going to affect our DraftKings Showdown lineups? I'm going to dig into it right after this. What's up, guys? Simon Edwards at PumaCom here with Heatseeker Sports, and you're watching GameScript. We got the Los Angeles Rams versus the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. They're playing in Wembley Stadium this week. We got a 44.5-point total with the Rams as 3-point favorites in this one. And Puka Nacua is out. That's going to be significant for how it affects the entire slate in this one. And we're going to have to have a lot of considerations with which players might be more significant in this one without Puka Nacua in there. I'm going to double check the spread. Yeah, we still got a 3-point spread in this one since that Puka Nacua news came out. So before I get into it, make sure to get me to 50 likes so I can put my favorite picks in the comments section as we get closer to lock. It's been tough getting those likes on the international games. I don't think as many people watch these or necessarily play these games. But if you do, let me know in the comment section. I need to get those likes to 50. I also need to know if you guys want a Monday night GameScript episode. So leave a comment in the comment section. I got a few comments on my last episode about wanting to do the Monday night game for GameScript, but leave a comment in the comment section letting me know that you guys want it so I can get a tally and an idea of how much demand there's going to be for that show. I do a 2-game slate no matter what for Monday, but with the showdown slates, the viewership hasn't been that high on the Monday games when they have a 2-game slate. So just let me know if you guys want one of those. I need to get a good amount of demand in order to put the time into something like that. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. I'm looking for 2,100 subscribers. I only need about 60 more to go. So if you guys can hit the subscribe button, that'd be great. You want to subscribe anyways to get alerts for when these shows go up. You're going to want to get access to the free beta preview of the secret weapon that's coming out here pretty soon. It's going to be a news tool more than anything. A lot of people focus on doing the analytic tools and everything like that with DFS or fantasy or betting or whatever. I'm going to be doing a news tool that's going to help you guys out, going a little bit different than the field on that. And I think you guys will like it. It's going to be coming out in a couple weeks. It's going to be a free beta preview to my subscribers. So that's another incentive for you guys to subscribe to this channel. And let's dig into this game. I'm going to mention, too, you see these 2 promos on my screen. I got one for BetMGM. Use the promo code HEATER1500, and they're going to give you a $1,500 risk-free first bet. So if you bet, or up to $1,500. So if you bet $200 on something and it loses, then they're going to give you $200 in betting funds to make up for it. So it gives you an idea of what you can do there. You can get that promo by using their promo code HEATER1500. Also, Underdog, that promo is wrong. It's play $5, get $100, not $50. And you use the promo code SEEK to do that. I put out Underdog videos for all of the main slate and the individual games. We already hit an 80-1, like an 87-1 earlier in the year, but also had a few that were 4 out of 5 picks correct. So I've been getting close to hitting another one of those big ones on Underdog, but we did get an 87x return on one of those pick'ems already this year, and it's only week 7. So, all right, guys, let's dig into this game. First, I'm going to take a look at the injury report for the Rams. Obviously, Puka Nacua out is going to be significant for us. That's going to affect Tutu Atwell, who has seen a big bump when Puka Nacua is out, and Tutu Atwell is much cheaper than Puka Nacua. We also see Jordan Whittington get a bump when Nacua is out. I think that Tyler Higbee could be potentially another guy that we see get a bump because he's been very quiet this season so far, but I do think that we might see some Tyler Higbee in this one. If we're looking down at the rest of the team, we're looking at Witherspoon is still on IR. That gets our guy Emmanuel Forbes in the game more. They reduced Forbes down significantly in that last game against San Francisco that we did a showdown episode where I was pushing Kendrick Bourne on the show for his matchup against Forbes, and Bourne ended up going off for like 150 yards and just a ridiculous best game of his career. But typical for what we see against Emmanuel Forbes. But we do have, some opportunities to still face this Rams defense. Forbes had reduced his role had been reduced against Kendrick Bourne as well, and Kendrick Bourne still went off. So we still have weakness in this Rams secondary that we can take advantage of. And then we got Havenstein is out for the offensive line for Matthew Stafford, so that's not good for our maybe passing game and Stafford's protection in this one. So just something to keep in mind as well against this Jags defense that's been pretty good this year. As far as Jacksonville, we're looking at a bunch of guys on IR or out. We got the left guard, Cooper Hodges, a couple tight ends. We got Brenton Strange, the starting tight end, is out. Hunter Long gets thrust into that lead role there. For wide receivers, Joshua Cephas is on IR. Doesn't really impact us. Devin Lloyd on the defense has been a defensive player of the year candidate, and he is out. We also got Jalen McLeod is on IR, and Caleb Ransaw is on IR as well. So the Devin Lloyd injury is significant for us for that Rams, passing game and run game too with a linebacker there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the DraftKings situation. Puka Nacua being out. Davante Adams is going to see an increased role in this one. He's already been great. He's had 1 week over 20 DraftKings points, but he's been the main red zone target and end zone target for the Rams. He's been getting a ton of targets, but really just not putting up the DraftKings points yet, but we could see that in this one. Kyron Williams, the matchup versus the Jags in this one, they're giving up only 19.6 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. They've been a lot worse against wideouts. They've been good against the slot, only allowing 6.5 to the slot, and they've been playing a lot of zone defense. So a lot of interesting nuggets here with the Rams. Let me check and see real quick who benefits from zone defense on the Rams when they face a team that plays a high rate of that. All right, so looking over at Pro Football Focus, it looks like Tutu Atwell has 0.51 fantasy points per route run with zone. Nacua was the best by far. So Atwell is actually has been better than Davante Adams against zone. Davante Adams, 0.43 fantasy points per route run, and Whittington is not even on the radar with fantasy points per route run, but he's probably just has not been one of the top reads with Nacua in the game. So Whittington, his situation should improve for us. That's actually versus man. Let me take you to zone here. With zone, it has been let's see, Whittington at 0.24 yards per route run. Atwell's only been at 0.14 yards per route run, or points per fantasy points per route run, and Davante Adams has been 0.41 fantasy points per route run. So Adams has been better in zone coverage, the best one in zone coverage for us to target, followed by Whittington and then Atwell, which makes sense with Atwell being more of like a deep guy. All right, so let's go to Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. started to come alive in the last couple weeks, at least from a target standpoint. He had 23 DraftKings points against Seattle last week. He only had 12 against Kansas City the week prior to that, but he had 4 receptions for 80 yards. So that was up until that point his best game of the season. But we did see him get a touchdown last week and knock that other one out of the water. So Thomas will be in a matchup where the Jags are giving up 22.7 DraftKings points. But like I said, they've been vulnerable versus wide receiver ones. So I think that we're going to see a decent amount of opportunity for Brian Thomas in this one, especially if he gets that matchup against Forbes. Matthew Stafford. Without Nacua and with damage to that offensive line, not sure how high I'm going to be on Stafford, but you can see he's capable of putting up 30 DraftKings points, but maybe a little bit more muted in this one. Maybe we see something closer to that 10.3. That was against Baltimore, who has not been good this year. Trevor Lawrence. He just looks like crap every time I see this guy play, and he's putting up fantasy points. You see 21, 28, and 19, but you watch this guy play, and he's just terrible. And you can see it in how he supports his other players. But like the matchup is not good either. It's only 14.9 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. But like I said, like if they have that matchup with Forbes out, that 22.7 DraftKings points that they're allowing to wideouts, or sorry, Forbes, potentially guarding a guy like Brian Thomas for a portion of the snaps, like that could be the perfect opportunity for Brian Thomas for us at least. But I'm not super high on Trevor Lawrence, but there will be opportunity there. One thing I'll say with Davante Adams too is the Jags have been giving up 29.1 DraftKings points per game to the quarterback position, or to the wideout position. They've been giving up 19 to the quarterback position. So Stafford does have a good matchup, and Adams does have a good matchup. So that should bolster Stafford up even more for us, or a little bit more for us. ETN is in a matchup. Both these running backs have bad matchups. ETN, Rams have only been giving up 16.9 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. And, look for the defense to step up in this one, knowing that the offense is missing Nacua. Travis Hunter has been a kind of a letdown, yet to score double-digit fantasy points. And he's in a matchup here where the Rams are giving up 10 DraftKings points a game to the slot. So, middling matchup for him, but not super high on Travis Hunter until he proves something. Both these kickers are going to be in play in this one. We got Cam Little, kicked like a 70-yarder in the preseason, so he's capable of launching it. And the Rams have a good defense in general, so look for them to stall out maybe in the red zone, especially the way that Lawrence has been playing. And Cam Little, we could actually see something like this 15-point week that he had versus Carolina in week 1. Cardi, he's same situation like the Rams. I mean, the Jags, have a decent defense, at least for slot and running back, but they've been vulnerable to wideouts, obviously, like I was saying. But maybe they get stalled out and we see Cardi get some work. Tutu, not really doing much of anything, and let's see what his non-captain price is. We're looking at 4,800 for him. That's too much to pay for a guy who's not doing anything. And Jacksonville is only getting 16.9 DraftKings points from the Rams defense, so not a good situation. Whittington is a guy that's going to be in play this week. Let's go ahead and look at the snap counts of these guys. for the Rams with Nacua out, so we can get an idea of maybe if they're going to be getting a decent amount of work. Going to share over Pro Football fantasypros.com. We'll take a look over at the Rams here. So last week we saw Puka Nacua. He only played in 51% of that game. Whittington ended up with a 92% snap count. Davante Adams, 78. Xavier Smith, he's another little guy that we can keep on our radar this week. Tutu Atwell must have been hurt last week because he had 0, and Xavier Smith probably got that 25% because Atwell was out, and Mumpfield had 17%. So, I'm more interested in Tutu Atwell in this one. He's done well historically with Puka Nacua out, but Whittington also should see a bump this week. 4 targets last week for only 5 DraftKings points. But we've seen Whittington do some stuff in the past on these showdown slates, so maybe we get a decent game out of Whittington. Rams D is going to be in play. Like I said, like Lawrence is terrible. 17 DraftKings points last week versus Baltimore. Atwell. So according to Rich Rebar, I'll get a Rich Rebar stat in here because I saw him write something about the significance of Puka being out for Atwell. According to Rich Rebar, Sharp Football Analysis, on his snaps with Nacua off the field, Atwell has a 17% target share on play action passes. Play action is significant. The Jags have been not great versus play action. Let's see if I can get another stat from Rich Rebar. Jags have been allowing a 68.6% completion rate, which is 18th in the league. 10.6 yards per average, 30th in the league, and a 5.9 touchdown rate. 5.9% touchdown rate, which is 16th on play action passes. So they're significantly worse as a defense against play action because they're one of the top defenses in the league with not play action. So Atwell is a beneficiary there, and since the start of last season, I'm going to stick with Rebar here. He's been targeted on 23.6% of his routes overall with Nacua off the field. So gives you an idea of the significance here for Atwell. Atwell is going to be in captain consideration with all these nuggets that we're getting from Rich Rebar for Nacua being out here. Diami Brown, like when I was looking at their alignments, it looked like he gets a decent amount in that side of the field where we'd see Forbes and Forbes is playing. So Diami Brown is another guy that we want to keep on our radars in this one. Brian Thomas also gets on that same side against Manuel Forbes, but Diami Brown is on that side of the field for about 30 to 40% of his routes. So good situation there for Diami. Blake Corum, we have the same matchup that we saw with Kyron Williams. Not a great matchup against running backs against this defense. So Corum, not super high on him this week, but he has been getting a tick up in his workload. Jags D, I think they'll also be in play just because they're a strong defense, and then we got the situation, obviously, with Nacua out and the offensive line is banged up. Higbee, I think Higbee can benefit. We saw 14 DraftKings points last week. I think a lot of that might have had to do with Nacua being out. The Jags have been middling against the tight end, allowing 12.5 DraftKings points a game, but we've seen it with Higbee in the past where he just kind of has a slow season, then he comes out of nowhere and just goes off. So Higbee is in play for us at 3,200. Hunter Long, again, taking over for Brenton Strange as that starter. But, we see a lot of these with these Jaguars receivers just not putting up any fantasy points because their quarterback isn't any good. And, we see 3.9 DraftKings points when he was a starter last week against Seattle, which I think was actually a good tight end matchup. Let me confirm that. Seattle has been giving up. Yeah, they're one of the best tight end matchups, and he couldn't get any points there for Hunter Long last week. So, not a whole bunch of trust there. Parker Washington, another one of these guys, just a random guy that they throw to, but had 12.6 one week. But, another one of these guys, we'll see all these under double-digit points for these Jags receivers. Jarquez Hunter was a rookie who was getting a lot of hype in the preseason, but Sean McVay just does not use these rookie running backs. Tim Patrick on the Jags now, same situation, under 10 DraftKings points in every week this year. I'm not using these secondary Jags guys just because they can't even feed the main Jags guys and get the main Jags guys there. So it's tough to have trust in those guys. Davis Allen is the backup running or tight end for the Rams. Same situation, but he's only had like 2 targets as max on the season, 1,600 there. Not overly excited about that play. LaQuint Allen Jr., nothing really there. Not a good matchup. Xavier Smith was the guy that we saw get a tick up. Didn't do anything last week, but at $1,000, Xavier Smith could be some salary relief for us. Kobe Parkinson, same situation, just a handful of targets, but we could see something there at $600. He's another guy with, at least he has a role. Mumfield was the guy that we saw get some work last week too with Puka Nacua out. He had 2 targets last week. He's at 200. So that is all that I see for potential guys this week. Let's start building a lineup. I think for a chalkier build, Adams will probably be the most popular captain. Let's put Stafford in there with him. Let's get Atwell in there too. Let's attack Jags where they're weakest with the wide out position. Let's get Brian Thomas Jr. He's got like the top floor outside of Trevor Lawrence. You know what? Let's get let's stick with Thomas and see where that takes us. Gives us 4,400 per guy. You know what? Let's take Thomas out. Let's put Lawrence in there, and let's get Diami Brown in there and see where that leaves us. Diami Brown, we know, is going to have that same matchup for 30% of the time against Emmanuel Forbes' side of the field, not necessarily against Forbes. He had 1 week of 17.6 DraftKings points, but the rest, all these Jags guys look the same with these terrible lines. They've been winning games, but they're just Trevor Lawrence is not a great quarterback. But that being said, they can obviously he has the potential to put up a big game at any point. So don't count him out, even with the bias there. We got Cam Little and Cardi as options. Travis Hunter as another option for that flex spot, that final flex spot. Let's see. Other than that, Whittington would be an option too. Rams D is going to be in play. So it leaves us in a really good spot with a Davante Adams build. I think I like this direction if you wanted to. Let's take Lawrence out of this one and put in Thomas. Leaves us with 4,400 per guy. Let's go find somebody cheap. I probably don't want to put Diami Brown and Thomas in the same lineup. Let's see. If we put Cam Little in this one too, leaves us with 3,600. We get the Jags D in that if we wanted to. We could get Hunter Long, Tyler Higbee. Like I'd put Tyler Higbee in that lineup. We got Stafford in there already. Yeah, I could see Tyler Higbee having a good game in this one. Nailed it with the tight end calls on my last showdown episode. I was very high on tight ends in that one, and every single touchdown pretty much came from tight ends in that one. We saw Jonnu get one. We saw Fant get one. We saw Freiermuth get two. I talked about him as a potential sneaky play with the love of tight ends. Did not have as much Freiermuth as I would have liked, but he ended up as the captain in the winning lineup. But we were putting Jonnu and Fant in the captain, so neither of those ended up like being the main captain that we needed. But big week if you put Freiermuth in that captain spot, or Darnell Washington. I think I had every tight end in the captain building on that show except for Freiermuth, who normally would have been a no-brainer, but he just hasn't really done anything in that Arthur Smith offense for the past couple years. So he wasn't, like on the top of my radar. All right, guys, let's build a different one here. Let's go with Kyren Williams. Let's say they lean more on the run with the Nacua situation. I'm going to go with Lawrence let's go with Lawrence in this one. Let's try to get Thomas Jr. in there too. Leaves us with 1,600 per guy. So if we go down here, maybe we can't get Higbee in there. A little bit trickier on this one. Let's take out Lawrence. Let's put Atwell in this one as well. You know what? Let's put Atwell. Let's say that Adams is a little bit too pricey. And let's say that, maybe Lawrence is able to outscore him. And Atwell gives us a little bit more salary relief there so we can do what we want with this passing game for the Jags. Let's get Diami. Now, let's not get Diami and Thomas Jr. in the same lineup. Let's get Cam Little in this one too. Leaves us with 5,300. Go double kicker if we want. I mean, this game kind of sets up as a double kicker game, honestly. You could put Whittington in this lineup. You could put, Rams D. I like that too. So this leaves us in a good spot too. So even with the pricier guys in the captain, we can get, like a decent build going. Let's clear it out. Let's put one of these cheaper guys in the captain. Let's put Atwell in the captain in this one. Like that matchup for wideouts. Let's put Adams in there too, and let's put Stafford. We'll double stack Stafford. Let's get Thomas in there too. Let's see if we can get Lawrence in here and get all the floor guys, and left with 3,200, we get Higbee in there. Or we can get Long in there, or Washington or something. See how much the cheap guys like open things up for us when we use that. Like this would be like the type of script this would be more of a back and forth situation. If we wanted to, maybe we take Adams out and we put Kyren in there. This would be more of, like the Rams playing with a lead. They've gotten their points from Atwell in the passing game, and Kyren Williams has poached, like a couple touchdowns or whatever. Then on the other side, we got running it back with the Jags passing game with Lawrence to Thomas. 3,800 left. We could put Diami Brown in this one too, and then we got Lawrence to two pass catchers. Rams playing with the lead in this one, and Atwell was what helped them to build that lead along with Kyren Williams. So we could also take Stafford out of this one if we wanted to and put Adams in. I don't like doing that with two receivers and then having no quarterback for them in there, but it gives you an idea what you could potentially do with that direction. But yeah, I think Atwell, Adams, and Kyron Williams probably going to be my favorite captains. If we wanted to say, let's say that we get a strong week finally from this Jags offense as a whole. Let's get Thomas Jr. in there. Let's get Lawrence in there. Let's get Adams in there. They're going to be thrown to Adams if we get a strong showing from this Jags from this Jags offense. Let's scroll down a bit. Let's get Atwell in this one too. I just like the value on Atwell for the role that he's going to have. That's going to give us $5K per guy if we want to get Little in this one, or maybe we get Cardi in this one since we don't have Williams in it. Leaves us with $5K. So this is PPR points being racked up for those guys. We don't have the quarterback, obviously. And then maybe we can get Diami Brown in this one too, or we can get the Rams D or something like that. So plenty of options there. So giving you guys a few different directions we can go. The way that I see it playing out, Rams, Jacksonville, they're missing Puka Nacua. They still have that weak secondary of the Jags as far as their wideouts go. They got some competent wideouts in Adams and Tutu Atwell. But, the way that the Jags have been playing lately with their defense has been good. I think this game will stay close. And I think that, Trevor Lawrence will continue to not put up a bunch of points with his guys. I think Stafford can overcome missing Nacua, but I don't know if he'll have a super high scoring game. But I definitely like the pass catchers for the Rams in this one. Don't sleep on Tyler Higbee, and Kyron Williams should be set up in this one if the Rams end up playing with a lead. But the running backs do not have good matchups in this one, so maybe we just see more pass happy from the Rams in this one, even without Nacua. I don't see the Jags necessarily like playing with any type of a lead in this one or anything, but they're playing in London. It's a stadium that the Jags are more familiar with. Let me look real quick and see. I'm going to see when they flew to London. Let's see. Usually, the Jags are used to playing in London. I want to find out when they left, though, because usually we have a benefit if one of the teams leaves super late. All right, so what day? Can't get any real answers here. All right, Jags flew out on Thursday and arrived on Friday morning. Let's find out about the Rams. The Rams flew out on, let's see, hang on a sec there. Actually, I'm seeing the Jags flew out on Monday and arrived on Tuesday. Let's find out what the Rams did. Rams are waiting till the last second to fly out there. All right, Rams got there on Saturday morning. So, that has not been the best path of success in these London games. So we're talking about the Jags out there since Monday. Double check on that because I'm relying on an AI response on that. But yeah, I'm looking at an article for the for the Rams, the CBS article. So the Rams did indeed fly out there and arrive on Saturday morning, which is not generally a recipe for success in these international games. So, maybe play a little bit more Jags heavy. Let's use that information here. Let's say that, maybe the run game gets a little bit of a bump here as well. Let's stick with Thomas and the captain. Adams will probably be affected the most with his age by this situation. But, just for building's sake, let's take him out. Let's put in ETN. We got Atwell in there. If we do put Adams back in there, it leaves us with 2,200. Maybe we take out Adams and we put in Kyron. Let's say that they run the ball more. Leaves us with 2,800. We put a guy like Washington or Patrick or someone like that. If we wanted to, let's say that Adams is a little bit tired from the jet lag, and the young buck, Tutu Atwell, gets in there. Let's put Stafford in this one too. Stafford will have the same effects of being old on that jet lag. But I got ETN and Lawrence. Let's get Lawrence out of there. And let's put Thomas Jr. in there. 5,200 leaves us with room for Cam Little or Cardi. That's with 2 running backs in the build. So, another potential way that we could build in this one. Hit that like button. Give me the 50 likes. I'll put out my thoughts if we can get that number in the comment section when we get a little bit closer to lock. I'm going to have a little bit more time to break this one down a little bit more. But, right now I like Atwell as a captain, though. I like what he does for us in the salary, and he's going to get the opportunity. So hit that subscribe button. Get me to 2,100 subscribers. I'm really close to that mark. And you want to subscribe anyways to get access to the secret weapon that's coming out soon. And that is it for this week, guys. I will see you for the main slate.